Driving my Cybertruck for 1 week proved that it could be quite expensive. I spent over $100 in charging, not including the free charge I got when I picked it up. So I decided to install my own charger. Join me as I give you some tips. Maybe it will help you install your charger, or at least you'll be educated when you do have somebody install it so you don't get ripped off. So I'm gonna cover some issues. Um, I'm gonna cover some points, but first I want you to pay attention to certain articles in the code book. As I'm shopping here, I have a panel to install a sub panel, some breakers, boxes, conduit. So I just want to take this time to remind you, follow the law, follow code regulations. Look up your NEC code book 70E. I think the 2023 is the latest, but verify where you live, what code currently is enforced. Whether I agree with all the codes doesn't matter. A lot of them are built around safety to protect you and your investment, but some are generated to make profits for the manufacturers. But let's go. You'll have to look up in the NEC panels, conduit, conduit fields, conductors and ampacities, grounding, EV chargers, branch circuits, wiring, and wiring protections. That's some of the topics you'll have to research, but it's not limited to those. So do your research. So I decided where I want my panel. I cut some 2x4s, put them between my studs so I could have something to mount that panel on. I'm gonna tie into this meter box. I'm gonna basically tap onto one of the feeders. I have my conduit run here. What I have to do next is penetrate the box. Hole saw drilling a hole into the meter box. Be careful that there are no live wires on the other side, or even dead wires. You don't want to damage anything. So I measured how much cable I will need, or wire, to go from the sub panel to the main box. And so you're gonna have two hots. So even though it's single phase, it's basically like double phase, but they call it single phase, and there's 3-phase and 2-phase, whatever. But you have two hots in a neutral, same size, and your ground you could you could go small on your ground. If you need specifics, you could go on the NEC. I think it's on the 250, the section 250, and look it up. I don't remember. Now I have them color coordinated, all phased. And when you tape them, make sure you tape it and you have them staggered. And put some decent tape, not a lot of tape, but just make sure you get these right here, the ends, so they won't get stuck. Most times when you're pulling through flexible conduit, it's easier to have it as straight as possible. So that's why I have one side disconnected. This is what we look like right now. The reason I'm not going off the two lugs on the top that fits each of the live buses, it is because I was tapping off a feeder, so I'm coming into a main breaker. Right here I'm making a 60 amp breaker my main breaker, because that's what I feel is necessary based on my calculations. So the 60 amp breaker, where the red and the black comes in, it will feed the two buses, and then from that my 50 amp breaker on the right will tap onto that and feed my receptacle. And please don't call me out. I know doing a charger you need to have a GFCI breaker. I don't have one right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and I will change it out later. So it's a common question. Do you put your neutral and your ground together? Um, Basically, this main, I'm feeding it from a feeder, so it's kind of its own panel, with what I call the sub panel, and it's going to. I'm tying the neutral and the ground together. Um, an instance where you taking one breaker from a main panel and feeding a sub panel, then you at that instance when you create that sub panel, you will keep your ground and your neutral separated. They will not be tied together. You could read more about it in the NEC, or there are people that explain it better. But this is why I have my ground and my neutral tied together right now. I know some of you may call me out. I do not have a grounding bushing on this conduit. I will install one later. So do it the right way. Don't do it as you see. I'm going to tell you the right way. So install a grounding bushing here, and make sure that your conduit is properly grounded. To here of a 6 to a 60, so that these are protected. So you just always want to make sure you protecting everything is protected. So these feeders are protected. Then this panel is protected by this, and then this breaker will protect the receptacle I'm about to install. I know it's long, but this is how it goes. Trust me. I may or I may not be certified, but trust me. Now I have this knocked out, and I have my 4S box here. So I'm gonna just mount the plug for here right now. Later on, I'll probably get the wall charger. Right now I have the mobile charger. I'll get the wall charger later. I'll update this to a 60 amp, so I could get the maximum charging benefits. They sell this plate. You'll see that Home Depot. What's this? Hold on. I think it says RS13 or so, but it's a cover for 4S box. It's got that circular, was like about a 2 inch, inch and a half hole, inch and 3/4 hole. That's the 50 amp receptacle. So basically just screws right on. You face it up to it, screwing running those screws right here, and get it nice and snug. So up here, the green, it says green here, that's your ground. The Tesla charger doesn't really need a neutral. I don't think so. I think it's just two hots. It's just two hots and the ground. But I'm gonna run the neutral anyways in case I need that plug for something else. I have a new welder that I bought, so I'll probably use it with it. So this is how it looks like, pre-assembled. I have all of them landed, white, green in the top, the phases on both sides. The key to it, these wires are big and kind of stiff, so you really need to have a good balance of, you want to keep some in here to make it serviceable, but you don't want too much because it's gonna kick your butt. So when you're trying to stuff them in, you're just gonna push down here while you're lifting and stuffing this on. Take a little peek, see how I have them kind of looped in there, and they're stiff. I'm just gonna push this on. Lost my screw, but push this on and screw it. That part's done. In the panel, you want to leave a little service loop, you know, for things happen. You need to move the wires around. Terminal gets burnt, you need to trim some off. So you want to kind of loop the wire around neatly before you land it. Okay, we're all done. Main's coming in. This is hot right now, but the breaker is off. When I turn it on, it's gonna fit the bus, and this will pick up 2 legs of single phase, and then that'll give us 240, and then our neutral and ground comes down, fits. So always remember, research your wire size, research what size breaker you need, whatever charger you're installing, research what the minimum size breaker it requires, because just because it draws 60 amps, you cannot put a 60 amp breaker. It has to be a little bit oversized. There have to be a safety factor, because if it's just drawing 60 amps the whole time, it's gonna start heating up the elements and it's gonna trip. So it has to have like a overrated like 20% or so. So check out the code book, research, Google it, just install the right stuff. I'm just showing you that it's not that hard to install a sub panel or install your breaker. And if you already had a panel, you could find room and install your breaker and just kind of put your receptacle or your wall charger. So if you have any questions, you hit me up. I do this stuff every day. So all right, I turned on my main first, then my breaker to my receptacle, plugged in my charger, my mobile charger, and let's see, press the button. Whoa, da da da, green. What's going on? Well, the blue means it's waiting to schedule charging. I hopped over on the app and I asked it to start charging right now. I will schedule charging for I think 11 p.m. or whenever the rates are cheaper, but I wanted to make sure it's charging. So this is what it looks like on the app. I hate it when people do this, but I'm gonna do it right now. Use the good old Sharpie. Main and 50 amp receptacle. Maybe later on I'll cover it up with some stickers, but right now that's all I got, and I want to label it so anybody could tell what's going on in here.